Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome to another Indie Game Friday, where each week I take a look at an independent role-playing game. This week I'm going to take a look at a recently released roguelike. Developed and published by Impact Gameworks, Tangledeep was released on PC on February 1st, 2018, and is available on Steam and GOG.com for $14.99 US. Developed with inspiration from roguelikes and the golden age 16-bit RPGs, Tangledeep is a polished dungeon crawler that very much leans on classic roguelike tropes, but resembles the old 16-bit era RPGs in sound, graphics, and character design. Aside from your usual turn-based exploration and fighting, there's a number of subsystems built into the game to try to set it apart from the slew of other roguelikes available. Story-wise, the main character is part of a group of people at the bottom of a dungeon. Some of these people have what's called the touch of nature, which instills within them a certain animal attribute, changing their form until they may entirely resemble creatures, and calls them to head upwards through the dungeon levels above. The main character does not. However, they are curious about what lies above, so they have resolved to head up through the dungeon to explore. The game starts by offering 3 difficulty modes. All are based on the idea that the dungeon is randomly generated each time. The easiest mode allows a character that dies to keep a certain portion of their money, unspent job points, and their experience. The heroic mode, or the one meant to be the usual mode, features permadeath, allowing only upgrades to the town and banked items to carry over, while the hardcore mode eliminates everything on death. A class is then selected, with each class having a different icon, a different set of passive bonuses, and a different set of job abilities. Job abilities are not initially unlocked, and must be purchased with job points earned as the game progresses, while passive bonuses unlock and are active all the time. Initially, 3 jobs are not unlocked and must be opened up as the game progresses. During the game, one of the NPCs will also allow a character to switch between jobs. When the character switches jobs, they lose the old passive bonuses, but keep earned skills, allowing for a little bit of mix and matching. A name is then selected, either randomly or typed in, and then 2 feats are chosen. Some may be unlocked during the game for certain events, and may be selectable for future characters. Each feat has a passive bonus or modification to the game. For instance, toughness may grant extra hit points, while intimidating may reduce enemy aggressiveness. Once in the game, you appear in a town with 2 screens and a number of NPCs. These NPCs and interactive hotspots each cover certain sub-aspects of the game. One character gives out rumors which function as quests. Each gives a floor to find the target on and something to do, whether it be discover a zone, an item, defeat a creature, or whatever. Each quest may have additional limits on what may result in failure, such as not being able to use a healing vial before the quest is finished. There's a priest as well that will heal the character for set sums, provide blessings that function as buffs for 99 steps in the dungeon, or allow the character to switch jobs. A vault is around to allow items and gold to be banked, so that they aren't lost on character death except in hardcore mode. A warrior character will offer certain weapon masteries later on, which can be selected to grant flat bonuses, and then there are 2 vendors, one for food and one for items. A campfire is also on the first screen, which will allow the player to combine various ingredients found in the dungeon to create food that gives bonuses and buffs once eaten. The second screen has a tree grove where seeds can be planted. These grow over time into trees that provide various ingredients and bonuses, but may also be cut down for a quick shot of experience and job points. A monster ranch is also available, allowing you to beat down and tame certain monsters in the dungeon, then keep a stable of them to accompany you into the dungeon again. The bulk of the game itself takes place in the dungeon proper. Like most roguelikes, the levels are each randomly generated and populated with random monsters and items. Movement and combat takes place on a turn-based manner, with the monsters taking a turn after the character. Running into a monster will attack it through melee, while you can also use skills and ranged weapons to target them from afar. Up to 4 weapons may be kept in quick slots, and several skills can be learned and attached to a quick slot bar below. Each character also has a series of basic bars to monitor, including hit points, stamina, and power. Stamina is reduced by executing attacks, power is used to fuel abilities, and hit points are reduced when damage is taken. There is an overall auto-map for each level accessible at any time, but characters also get a few basic abilities that all characters share, including the ability to eat, a timed portal that heads back towards town, and a healing vial that heals them over time. The healing vial can be replenished by filling it at a fountain in the dungeon. Items that drop can be collected, and many have different abilities, based not only on the item type, but on additional modifiers which may come up based on the rarity of the item itself, in a manner similar to many other roguelike dungeon crawlers. Some items, such as seeds or ingredients, are best taken to town to use on the cooking fire or the tree grove, while other consumables may be used in the dungeon proper. Killing an enemy, as stated above, will result in a gain of experience and job points. Job points are used to unlock skills as time goes by, but may also be used to unlock weapon masteries. Gaining experience increases hit points, and at certain tiers may grant other abilities and choices of abilities. For instance, at a certain experience level, you may get to pick a flask infusion that grants your healing flask abilities beyond simply restoring hit points. Levels are made up of tiles of different terrain, and certain types of terrain may have other effects. Some tiles may damage the character, while others may give them bonus or penalties to defense against certain types of attack, and still others may affect movement rate. Mud, for instance, gives a chance for a character to become stuck each time you walk on them. A level may also generate with items laying out for all to see, chests that contain items, debris such as jars and crates that may or may not contain items when broken, as well as little sparkling tiles that can contain treasure or items, but are only revealed when actually entered. Levels go up rather than down, and may offer multiple exits. Certain exits may head to side levels, which are designated with treasure chests by the level name. Side levels can contain enemies and treasure, NPCs to talk to, NPCs with quests, or all of the above. All levels follow a general theme, but side levels often have very specific themes that may differ from the levels that they branch off of. In terms of gameplay, it's very much pretty standard for a roguelike, although the town-based quests and other features such as monster taming and cooking can give it a little bit of a different feel. If anything, I was somewhat reminded of the Mystery Dungeon series, a similarity that was strengthened by the aesthetics. Graphically, Tangledeep very much resembles a Super NES era style RPG, and the music has very strong influences from that era. Yes, it's another retro-styled game graphically, but I think the sprites are fairly well polished, and the music really does capture the feel of that era, which in my opinion is a very good thing. Maybe it's not as memorable as some of the soundtracks of some of the top-tier RPGs of that time, but it is pretty good all in all. So how does it stack up against other roguelikes that are out? Honestly, if it were just purely about the gameplay mechanic, the main one, I'd have to say that it really doesn't stand out that much, for good or ill. It's true that it is competently designed, but some other roguelikes offer a little bit more complexity in the dungeon crawling front that may maintain a player's interest for longer. The minor additions of monster taming, job switching, and the magical grove do offer some depth of strategy that would otherwise be missed, and honestly, in my opinion, it is actually just enough to make up for some of the lack in comparison to some of the harder-edged roguelikes. However, that doesn't really tell the whole story, because if you're a real fan of 16-bit era RPGs, the aesthetic will go a long way towards making this game more enjoyable, and that can't be overlooked. If anything, I wish it had gone even further along the lines of the Mystery Dungeon series, although that's just my personal preference. Honestly, if you're looking for a very solid RPG with a retro aesthetic, you will not go wrong with Tangledeep. If you're already sold on a different roguelike, Tangledeep may not capture your attention unless the retro feel really appeals that much to you. But on its own, in comparison with other entries on its similar tier, it's extremely well done and at a reasonable price. So in summary, I do recommend it for fans of the genre. And I will leave it at that. This has been the RPG Crawler with Indie Game Friday Tangledeep. I'll put links in the description below as always. If you like what you've seen, remember to leave a like, comment if you've got any feedback, and subscribe for more RPG content, both tabletop and computer. Until next time, take care and goodbye.